Welcome to How's Your ePresence? This show is produced by ePresence, and I am Mark Galvin, your host. We are glad you are here today. This show, I guess you could say we kind of threw this show together because we're in the middle of a time where we're starting to see a higher level of cyber attacks. And so we went out and found an expert that can speak to that. But stick around. I'm going to do a little dance about some other things, and then we'll get directly to that show. What do we do on the show? We talk about ways that businesses can do things a little better. Typically in the marketing side, we do love the technology side. So like today, we're bringing in an IT expert. If you have been here before, you know this. We'd love for you to subscribe. So at that bottom corner of the screen, hit subscribe. Go check out our YouTube channel. You'll see we've got tons and tons of content that just sits there that is designed to try to help you do things better. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about cybersecurity in light of world events. We have some very interesting things going on in the history of our world really right now. And as a result of that, there's probably a little less control on the Russian IT side, if you will. So we're getting a lot more of attacks coming into the US, and that could be either orchestrated by the Russian government or it may be folks that are independent. Whatever the case, this is a real problem. So we're going to talk about how to protect your business. We're going to get into lots of little technical things like firewalls and peripherals and stuff like that. So I think you're going to find today is a really super helpful show. Our guest today is Lisa Marie Papp. She's with Computer Solutions Networking, and you'll hear us refer to her company as CSN from now on. She started, this is really interesting, she started in digital printing and did that for some 20 years and then migrated over into the IT industry, which she's been doing for 10 years. So she's always been involved in that space that has to do with technology, because we all know digital printing back in the day before computers became what they are were highly technical. She focuses on legal, financial, insurance, manufacturing, healthcare, and small businesses with 25 or less people. If you are watching live, we would love for you to throw in a question. So right there on the screen, whatever platform you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, just type in a question or a comment. We will share it. If you don't have a question, that's totally cool. Just tell us where you're watching from. We are always trying to find the person that is watching us from the furthest away spot possible. So maybe you're that person today. Well, I think I've talked enough. Let's see if we can track down Lisa Marie. Is she out there? There you are. Lisa Marie, welcome. How are
Thank
you?
you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for this opportunity.
You bet. Well, I'm so glad you're here. You and I have run into each other. We've been rubbing elbows for a few years now. I cannot believe I have not had you on the show before today. So I got a stumper for you. I got the first hardest question ever. Have you always been Lisa Marie, or have you ever been just Lisa?
I have been Lisa, starting my business or being in a hierarchy of a business. I find that Lisa Marie, it just has a little bit more of a ring to it. And with the initials LMP and Lisa Marie, I do get asked quite a bit about if I'm named after Lisa Marie Presley. Unfortunately, yes, my dad was a Elvis fan. I'm
Well,
two
there you
years.
go.
I'm 2 years before her, so I had the name first.
Well, I think that is really awesome. I have a son. His name is, well, technically James. We've always called him Jim. And all of a sudden one day he showed up and his name was James. And it was because of exactly what you just said. He said it's more professional. It is what it's what I want my professional name to be. Well, I think that's great. I've always wondered about that. I think names are really interesting. It does show kind of the forethought, and it shows your focus on the professionalism of who you are and what you do. So I love that.
Thank you.
One of the first things I always like to ask all of our guests is a simple thing, and it is, we've already answered some of this, but I'd love for you to share this. What do you do? And most importantly, why do you do it?
Well, what I do is CSN. we provide solution services and IT support, help desk support for the business, whether it's a small business of 25 users or less to up to enterprise size. We want to make sure that the business has the same opportunities with technology and the same solutions as the big boys have. And that also runs into their industry. I focus a great deal of getting to know the business, getting to know the owner of the business or the point of contact, because they're the ones that are the ear to the IT issues that occur in their business. And IT today is such a focal point of any business that starts or is continuing. But IT is also evolving. And there are businesses out there that are still running on Windows 7 machines and they need to be
W-
upgraded. There
Wait,
are
wait, 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 wait. Hold on. Windows 7. When
yes,
was that released?
quite a while ago, and it's even out of service.
Oh my gosh.
And so
So,
they don't know. They just don't know. They say the machine's still working, but they don't realize that there are faster, better, and more secured machines. And that can also be
whew,
hindering them from having better technology in softwares or other applications to make their business run smoother, better, and their employees be more productive versus being stressed out.
unbelievable. All right. I'm astounded that folks are still running on Windows 7. So tell me, is that a security issue? Is it
Yes.
harder to secure a Windows 7 system?
Yes, because it's no
Oh,
longer supported by Microsoft, so they're not sending out the security updates as you would find for Windows 10 and Windows 11. Even so, the hardware, we're finding now that the chip, whether it's an Intel or an AMD chip, the older versions do not have the current software protections or security protections that the newer chips are coming out with. Prime
interesting.
example. Windows 11, which is hitting the market, requires that an Intel chip be an eighth generation or sooner versus an older version, and it won't allow you to load it onto an older version. So even the
Unbelievable.
manufacturers are stepping up to the plate, as well as other resources that we have to add to the security stack to protect those environments.
I'm actually really surprised that there are still companies out there on 7, but you know what? As a business owner, and when you invest in your company, there was probably a healthy investment to install that computer the first time, and the owner's probably still like, still hasn't gotten over the first, that was a ton of money back then. But it's probably a good time to go ahead and look at upgrading that just for security because and we didn't really talk about this. I'm curious if I'm one of those businesses, and not just the Windows 7's systems, but any organization. What is my vulnerability if my system gets hacked? How could that cost me financially?
It costs you very dearly. Not only the downtime of the hardware or software, but what happens on the outside to your clients, with your clients.
Oh,
What
yeah,
information has now, if you want to say, escaped. The other thing is proprietary information that belongs to the business. In manufacturing, is there patent information that has now been
mm,
released? In a small business, whether it's a one person or greater, what financial information? It could be their P&Ls, it could be their banks, it could be anything, their merchant services, but also their client information. So what we do is we try and provide those solutions as well as assessments to assure that information is in the correct spot and not if in case when a breach does occur, it doesn't really get nailed as much because really on an average, if you have what we call 10 records, that could be 10 social security numbers, 10 credit card numbers, on an average, right from the beginning of when the breach occurs to complete remediation and getting the company back up and running can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
oh my gosh.
But
Okay.
also, what also the back end of
Oh,
that,
there's more.
yeah, depending on the business, you have compliances, HIPAA for health, PCI
Mm,
DSS, any merchant services that you use, credit cards or anything. So then you can be fined, and it just keeps piling up. So
ugh.
we do stress, with our businesses. We go over their cyber insurance and identity insurance, making sure, do they have the right stuff? Do they have the amount? Because that's going to help. But believe it or not, it costs quite a bit. And the other part too is not only the financial aspect, but it can be a reputation aspect as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that it's hard to enumerate the loss of your reputation if it gets out there that you had a cybersecurity breach when that was avoidable, right? I think it's a serious, serious issue. All right, folks that are watching, if you're joining in, feel free to throw a question into the chat box for Lisa Marie. She is a professional IT support specialist, and we're talking about cybersecurity in light of the Russians and everything that's going on there. I think that the noose, if you will, the leash of that the Russian government had on their cyber attack force is loose, and so
Oh, yeah.
we're seeing a lot of interesting things happen. There's a comment that just came in I want to share from Thel. This is an extremely timely talk. She's been talking over this with the last couple of months to my business clients and network about the importance of cyber insurance coverage, because exactly, I mean, Thel brings up a good point. It sounds like that you could end up with a breach, even though you do everything that you should. But anyway, we're going to talk about all the things that you should put in place. You said to me before offline, which was the main reason I called you to join us, is that you're seeing more attacks happen. How in the world have you noticed that more attacks are up? And what does that look like? What does the volume of those attacks look like?
What we're seeing, and this is very common, especially current with our current situation with over in Europe. We're seeing what is called a device attack, where they are
Huh.
just bombarding that device with IP addresses to eventually get that pinhole and then get through. So that's what we're seeing. With that being said,
I got a question.
we're also seeing the IP addresses, the volume when it's coming through the router and also through firewalls, provided that the businesses or even a home, because there's businesses running in the home as well, we're seeing that increase. The other thing is I have several security resources that I receive reports throughout the day. I am with CompTIA ISAO, which is a specified aspect that deals with cybersecurity.
Okay.
I constantly receive reports from them. There's other resources that we receive reports, and we're also getting information from certain resources that are potentials. We're starting to see a
Mm,
recycle on some of the malware. The other big thing we see, and this is the hardest part, because really it's the human that we have to really help out,
right.
is phishing emails, survey emails. You get a survey from a company you know is reputable, you've done business with, and it ends up to be a phishing email, and with a click of the button, boom, something can be
You're
inserted on the computer and be waiting for you to hit the right keystrokes or the right time, and it explodes. So
oh my
that's a
goodness.
lot of it. And that's what I do spend time with my clients, is teaching them what to look for. I actually tell them, lift the finger off the mouse and take a step back. Take an extra 30 seconds, look at these areas on the email before you move forward,
All right,
because
this is
that
good.
time frame can mean dollars and time.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Earlier in that, when you started talking about this, you talked about device attacking with IP addresses looking for, you said you just say wormhole, did you? It's like
No,
a
I said a pinhole. It's like a pinhole.
pinhole, smaller than a wormhole.
Yeah.
Why are those IP addresses doing that? What are they looking for in that pinhole? What's the exposure? What's the challenge?
A lot of times is what we try and do with the firewall devices is we try and teach them and program them to to basically filter out those IP addresses. We
Huh.
also have in our security stack, and our security stack is greater than just the antivirus and malware. We have threat detectors, we have hunters, we have other things that actually will be reading this code or IP addresses and say, wait a minute, I don't think we need to go here. We need to go over here and double check to make sure, is it valid or not? A common one that a lot of businesses, when we were meeting in the office and even still today, is Facebook, because they don't, the problem is people play games or, something
Right.
gets downloaded and that IP address will come through. And so that's what we're
Interesting.
seeing. Yes, we're seeing a lot of maliciousness. The other thing is it's actually like a robot. It's just going like this against
Yeah,
that
a lot faster than we
device.
could move, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned email, and because of the human element is typically like I think with the what was the gas group? Coastal? Was it Coastal, the gas company, the pipeline in
The
Atlanta
Colonial
and North
Pipeline,
Georgia? Yeah,
the Colonial
that was a
Pipeline.
phishing email that
Yes,
got in.
yes.
What is it that we should look for as users to make sure that we don't get caught by one of those emails?
First rule of thumb, look at the top at the sender's email address. And if you look at, and it has PayPal on it, and you look at the top and it says anything but PayPal, PayPal or anything in the domain, if it's a bunch of gobbledygook, Gmail, guess what? Go to junk, say it's junk, so it goes in the junk folder, hit block, delete, and then delete it out of your trash can.
So, Lisa Marie, I'd like to highlight this because I think this is so important. So, if you send me an email,
Mm-hmm.
your email will be what is well, we don't go your email. So we'll do this way. We'll say it's Lisa at yourcompanyname.com.
Correct.
That's where it should come from. And if I don't know your company address for your email, where can I find that typically? What would be a good second check for that?
A site that's called ICANN, ICANN. And you
Mm,
can type in any domain name and it will bring up to say if it's a registered domain name, if it's valid domain name. If it comes up and says nobody has it or such, then you can kind of
okay,
say,
good.
wait a minute. The other thing is overseas, outside the United States, a lot of times they're stealing domain names,
Oh
and
my
therefore
gosh.
it'll show down if you got it, if it allow you to, you should see it on the report. The next best thing, and I have several real estate attorneys do this, they pick up the phone and call and say, did you
Oh,
receive that email? And
mm,
everything, because of wiring instructions or anything. I always say, when in doubt, pick up the phone and call the person and say, did you send an email with this attachment? Because it kind of looks like yours. So, but that's
that's a good
usually the
way.
beginning
Yeah.
of what we do.
And if I get so I'll get an email all the time. This happens to me all the time. I bet everybody's seen this. You get an email, it looks like it's from Amazon, and it says your recent order is delayed. It has
Mm-hmm.
fallen off the truck, whatever. And it looks just like Amazon, but I go to open the email, and the email address says Fred Smith at gobbledygook.com, right?
Yep.
It's not from Amazon.com. It's not even info at Amazon.com. So
Right.
that's an easy one, but that
Yep.
does kind of describe that. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this is really interesting. I think that the the thing that blows me away is, and this is something that you mentioned, I'm going to circle back to. It's the survey. So I haven't heard about this. So this is good to hear. So now they're putting out surveys saying, "Hey, we'd like to know what you thought about recent service that you got from us," right? Because I
Yep.
get those all the time after I get help from a certain company. This is really interesting. So now that could, if they somehow figured out, and I don't think they always know, they could send me a survey from AT&T and say, "Hey, you just got off the phone from AT&T. Tell us what you think." That could be a catch too. That's
Yep.
good to know.
Yep. I have I will instruct clients left and right. I mean, I get that business owners, we like to do surveys and things like that because we want that feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Send it personally. And I tell clients, if you see something that just is not really addressed to you officially or personally with a true person's signature, toss it. Don't fill out any surveys. Just don't do it. Don't take
Wow.
the chance. You know, it's
That's a
just,
huge tip.
yep.
All right, I got a
And
question for you that's coming in from the audience. You ready to maybe
sure.
I'm hoping we get one that stumps you. I'm kidding. Here we go. So this is good stuff. As a small and or medium-sized business, what is my level of threat? And then he goes on to ask, Mr. Lusk asks, or should my policy be for my clients if I suspect I've been bugged? Or what should my policy be for my clients if I suspect I've been bugged? So let's start off with the first one. What is the threat? And we kind of talked this at the beginning, and I think David missed that, but highlight quickly for David, what is his threat?
Any small business is 98% chance of being attacked.
Wow.
And it's going higher. It's almost at 99. I would say about almost a year ago, we could say it was about 95. It is at 98%. A lot of it is due that we are now work from anywhere, that people are working from anywhere. The other thing is the small businesses really don't know what is available to them, what I can provide to them that is of value to protect their small business.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of it.
Good.
I'm not really clear on a policy aspect of, and what the quotation of bugged means.
So I think I'm going to translate this because I think I have a good sense. What should a company's policy be if they feel like they've been bugged? So for example, I've been hacked. What should I do? What should I say? What should I communicate to my clients saying I've been hacked?
The best thing to do, first of all, is if you have an IT person, is to immediately, and I say this because we work with companies that have an IT person, is
Yeah.
bring in a consultant because it'll be a
Ooh.
separate set of eyes. Number one. The other thing is if you don't, then give, I would say bring in an IT service provider that does this, that can come in and do the initial assessment to see what has possibly been, if anything, been hacked. And then based on that IT service provider, as myself, we have a team of resources. I have a team that I can bring in and say, okay, this is what I have found. Now we need to go, full board here and get this out. And then there's just a checklist of things to do that owner or a front admin or the whole team ends up having to help out by notifying clients to say, there's been this is what we're doing at this point. Please take the opportunity to check if it's especially
Yep.
a credit card. And then we do another follow up and say, okay, this is what we found. And hopefully we can say nothing has been breached, nothing has
Bravo.
been put out there and stuff. And you might have clients calling in that, saying, hey, you said this, but I don't see anything. So that's a good thing. The best thing is communicating out to your clients, and it is a hard call. It really is,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're sitting there sweating going, okay, am I going to lose clients? But I think in a lot of ways the clients are going to respect you more because you were honest with them and giving them a fair warning. But there's
I
a
agree
lot
with
of
that.
follow-up that we do to say, to assure them that the problem's being remediated, it's been resolved, and that everything's good to go. And we also say, this is what we've done, what
Yep.
changes we've had to make. So, and
You know
not,
what it reminds me of? This reminds me of COVID, right? When COVID first came out, nobody wanted to say they actually contracted it because they didn't want, because gosh, I've got it. I don't want anybody to know. Now everybody's had it and everybody realized that's not a big deal. I got COVID. I got to stay home today. The thing that's happened, and I do think we're going to get there, 95, 90, what you said, 98% of businesses are going to be hacked. We're all going to be hacked.
Yes.
So it's not a worry of, gosh, you've been hacked. What's wrong with you? It's okay, it happened. Let me know so I can go change my passwords. I love that.
Mhm.
I do. There was a question that came up, and I think you answered this in the throes of the last question. So, Thel, if you have another question, send a follow up. But it sounds like you heard this. Lisa has seen it, and she shared how she uses her team to really um, to deactivate those challenges, if you will, to counteract that. All right, I want to ask you a question, a couple more questions, and we're going to move quickly because we're running out of time. Folks, if you're watching online and you have a question, you can always throw it in the chat box. We'll be happy to throw at Lisa Marie, like we have with the other guests, other folks that are watching. So if I have an iPad and that iPad hasn't been updated, and I hate updating my iPad because it's getting slower and
Yeah.
slower. So every time I update it, is it okay if I don't update the iPad?
Update the iPad.
Oh,
Always run updates.
I
And
don't
what
want to
we
hear
do,
that.
yes, I know. I run into it myself. I've got plenty of machines around and toys that, yes, I call my machines toys. And yes, run the updates. A lot of them, Apple and I say Windows as well, they're constantly sending out security updates. And a lot of times the machines are updated late at night. One of the
Yeah.
things that we do, and this is the big nut for our company, is we actually monitor, we manage that remotely for you 24
Cool.
7. And the reason for that is because there are companies that might be running applications that when an update comes in, it will throw it to sideways in a heartbeat. There are
Ah,
people who
yeah.
could be traveling. I have several clients who travel, and the update can't be installed because they're going to be on a plane for the next 4 to 6 hours, and they're not going to be back on the internet for an additional 8 to 10 hours. And so I have to schedule. I actually can delay that. So we also double check the updates to make sure that they are good,
Good.
and before they're actually released. That's the other thing with the remote managing is that we can also we can manage the asset. There's been a time where I've gotten an alert that a hard drive was starting to fail on a client's machine. I was
Wow.
able to pull down an image backup, and I called the client and said, guess what? I'm sending you a hard drive and I will walk you through changing out your hard drive on your laptop
Oh my
and
goodness.
everything. And he didn't even know. He was like, Lisa, I didn't even know. And I said, that's what I do. I sit here and manage it and stuff. So we set
No, that's cool.
those alerts, and we, yes, every update, not only operating system, there's applications that need to be updated. If you're using Adobe, if you're using cameras, sometimes you have to punch that, but that's you doing it. You don't have time
Wow.
to do that as a business owner. That's what I'm here for. I
Yeah.
take care of that for you.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. One last question, and it's about firewalls. First of all, what is a firewall? What does that do?
Well, I knew you were going to ask this, so I decided I'm going to read the true definition. A network security that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. This has established a barrier between a trusted network and a not trusted network. This secure network security can be the best type of firewall is an actual appliance, we call it. It looks like your standard router. It can
Okay.
look like your standard router. The reason for that is because it's the security software we add on top of that. That's what we monitor and control. So we can direct traffic. We can cause it to think about that IP address before putting it through. We
Yeah.
can block it. It does. Most of our firewalls that we use will include a VPN. And I will say this, I know the VPN has been widely put out there, and now that has become susceptible to these hackers.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that's basically what a firewall is, not the one that's built into your internet service provider's router is not sufficient. We are
Got it.
adding them on, whether in the home or business. And at home is becoming a haven for the hackers because of all the smart devices that we have.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of scary, frankly. We are running into this more and more often. We're all working from home. Well, listen, we're running our businesses from our homes, and that creates a whole nother set of issues, which is probably a whole nother show.
Hmm.
Well, Lisa, this has been very helpful. We are officially out of time, and I hate that. What I'd love for you to do is share with everybody where they can go to find you.
You can go on to my LinkedIn, which is a great way to be able to get a hold of me. I also allow, if you're on my LinkedIn page, you will see that I do have resources. So there's always good information. And I
Cool.
also have other business owners or clients of mine that are on my LinkedIn. But yes, my LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. And your LinkedIn is your handle is Lisa Marie Pap. That's so fantastic. So linkedin.com/in/Lisa Marie, and Lisa Marie is spelled LisaMariePapp. Lisa Marie Pap. And should they go to your company website, or you prefer just go to the LinkedIn page?
Either one, they can go to my company website as well.
And your company page is just your whole company name spelled out, Computer Solutions Networking.com.
Yep.
So Computer Solutions Networking.com. It's right there on the screen. Lisa, thank you. Lisa Marie, thank you so much for joining us today. I am thrilled that you made the time to come in. This is such an important topic. I just have a question. When, or if actually, when we have more security concerns, can we pick up the phone and call you and have you join us again?
Yes, I'd be glad
Awesome.
to.
Oh, I love that. Well, thanks again for being here. I am so indebted under such a short notice, and I know we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
For the rest of you folks that are watching, thank you for joining us. Our goal here on How's Your ePresence is to come up with content that's going to help you either market your business better, secure your business better. Sometimes we have motivational coaches that'll come on to teach you how to raise your game a little bit higher. We're always looking for content that can help you out. If you're interested in more of our content, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of how to do and answers there, which can, like SEO and how to do a funny sales video. We just did that one recently. Also, this show is produced by ePresence. We're a full service social media agency, which means we help companies and individuals with their social media. We also offer consulting and training. By being a viewer of our show, we offer you a 5% discount. So just by being here, you can save money by tapping the link that's going to be right there on the screen, e-pr.me/listener. You go to that URL, you automatically get a 5% discount on all of our services. Our show, How's Your ePresence, is everywhere. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. All of the shows are streamed there. You can always catch them, but also we drop them as a podcast. If you would like to see our podcast channel, just go to our website, epresence.me/podcast. What am I talking about? epresence.me, because it's all about you, /podcast. And you can see all of our podcasts and catch up with those there. No matter where you are, the thing that's most important, I missed this, is we'd love for you to subscribe. So hit the subscribe button on the screen. There it is. Hit that subscribe button on your screen so that you know when we go live and you can ask questions of each of our guests. Our show is produced by Morgan Wood. We always love the work that she does. She is the most amazing producer in all of producery. Until next time, for my guest, Lisa Marie Pap, I'm Mark Galvin, and this has been How's Your ePresence?